Hey fellas. So, yeah, I wanted to do this earlier in the week. As usual, I procrastinated quite a bit. Um, I wanted to get this done yesterday. Had the time to do it yesterday, and then crazy drama pops up. My older brother was in a car accident. Yeah, he'll be all right, but kept a lot of us, dashing about like freshly decapitated chickens for a while. Yeah, happens. It's life sometimes, you know? Likes to throw you a curveball every now and again just to see how you'll react to it. So anyways, drafted last week. Twice even. Look at that. 2 decks, guys. 2 decks. Talk about this one. It's a white-black deck that I drafted up. This deck, I don't know what happened with it. This deck should have performed incredibly. It really should have. And round one was a lovely precursor of how the deck actually performed as opposed to how it should have. I mean, you can see it's a black and white deck. Round one, game one, I couldn't draw Swamp to save my life. End of the game, I had like 4 or 5 planes on the board, like 4 or 5 black cards in hand, no Swamps, not a one. After I looked at the top few cards in my deck, I'm like, yeah, there's not a Swamp coming for like 4 more turns. Hell. It happens sometimes. It's the nature of randomness. You know, some days you're the dog, some days you're the hydrant. Game 2, I drew the lands I needed, and the deck operated the way it was supposed to. 1 foot firmly planted in the ground, the other one firmly planted in the opponent's hindquarters. Game 3, I couldn't draw a Swamp till like the last turn, and I'm like, yeah, too little, too late. Happens. So let's look at this deck. I mean, this deck should have performed better. Okay, I'm rocking a pair of angelic armaments. I could have gotten a third one. I actually, kicked myself in the butt a little bit because during pack 2 I picked up I passed, I can't remember what it was, but I want to say it was a black card that I could have used in the deck to get a second angelic armaments, because consistency is a good thing and angelic armaments is a really nice card. And then 2 picks later, I see another angelic armaments in a pack that has pretty much nothing else in it. And I'm like, really? Really, guys? Really? 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 Come on, really? That's life sometimes. I mean, you can't really anticipate things like that. Scroll of Avacyn, it's a nice filler card, draw card. And I'm main decking 4 angels, so that was nice, right? Speaking of fillers, I got a pair of Midnight Duelists, who actually ended up coming in pretty handy in game 1. Because my opponent was, actually in a couple of my games, because my opponent were rocking some vampires. Especially the red one, where you can pump mana into it to deal damage to target creature equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on the vampire, and the vampire gets +1/+1 counter every time it deals combat damage to a player. So yeah, being able to roadblock those is really nice. But yeah, Midnight Duelists, they're solid filler cards. The Thraben Valiant would be so much better with like First Strike and not Vigilance, but it's what we got in the set. Cathedral Sanctifier, it's a filler card. Is what it is, right? Miscellaneous flyers, I've got a Marrowbats, which I'm not thrilled about. I mean, it's got really low toughness, and paying 4 life to regenerate it is kind of a steep cost. I mean, 4 life is right around the point in time when you... 3-4 life is right around the time where you sit up and start taking notice. You just sit there, it's like, what, you know? Searchlight Geist and a Moonlight Geist, those are pretty solid flyers overall. So you can't really complain about those, you know? Got a Corpse Traders, it's a 3/3 for 4 mana, so it's more or less on curve for black. You pump 2 in a black and sack a creature. Your opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a card from it. That player discards that card. Play this ability as a sorcery. it's okay. And I got a Soul Cage Fiend. 3/2 dies, each player loses 3 life. So the Soul Cage Fiend, if nothing else, he's nice fodder for the other fellow. Then, of course, overall he's an undercosted 3/2 anyway. So it's alright there, you know? Flyers, Angels. Rockin' 4 Angels main deck. The Voice of Provinces, I wasn't sure if it was a good pick or not, but hey, it's another flyer with a halfway decent sized body. It's a 3/3 flying, hits the board, brings in a 1/1 human token with it. But it's 6 mana, so I'm not entirely thrilled by that. Not entirely thrilled. Seraph of Dawn is a solid, is a solid 2/4 flying lifelink with 4 mana. It's really solid. No complaints about that card at all. 2 Emancipation Angels. I think those are the first Emancipation Angels I managed to get my grubby paws on. It's 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer in white. You don't get that too often. Last time I saw a 3 mana 3/3 angel in white was Haunted Angel in Apocalypse, if I recall correctly, and that had a nasty drawback. I mean, Emancipation Angel hits the board, you bounce a permanent you control to your hand. The Haunted Angel was 2 and a white for a 3/3 flying angel that, when it hit the graveyard from play, your opponent got a 3/3 black angel flying token with flying, and so I'm thinking Emancipation Angel is overall head and shoulders better than that. That and Heaven's Forbid, it's nice to see, like, an angel that costs, like, less than 4 mana. In fact, most angels traditionally costed 5 or more. Traditionally. I don't know. That, and of course, in one of my games, it was really nice to actually be able to defy death on an Emancipation Angel. It's like, defy death, Emancipation Angel, comes in with 2+1/+1 counters, gets me a 5/5 flyer, I'll bounce this land to my hand, I don't care. I don't care. It's like, yeah, I'll do that for a 5/5 flyer. Yoink. Thank you! Thank you. And here's one of the reasons why I think this deck really should have performed better than it did. I've got a Barter and Blood. 2 and double black, each player sacks 2 creatures. It's a sorcery. 4 death wins. 4. I picked up like 2 in pack 1, and I want to say the other 2 in pack 3. That's pretty awesome. What I think was really awesome is the guy to my immediate right. During pack 3, he was complaining that there's no good removal in the set, and he complained about that after he had passed me 2 death wins in a row, and just passed me a Barter and Blood. And then I look over at what he's putting his deck when he's putting his deck together, and he's playing black, and I'm like, dude. And I flashed the card. You had just passed me these after you complained there was no good removal in the set. Are you out of your mind? And you know what? I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was looking for something splashier, or flashier maybe. I don't know. Strange things happen. And you know what? We all have weird days. We all have days when we, like, overlook the completely obvious. So maybe I should just chalk it up to that, right? What I haven't shown you that was in the deck, I had a Demonic Rising. I want to say that was my keeper. I'm not certain. I can't remember. It's not a bad card at all. Also in the deck that I kicked into the prize pool that I did not get back was the Cathar's Crusade. That actually came in pretty handy. Worked really nice with the Emancipation Angels. Oh yeah. For those who aren't familiar with the Cathar's Crusade, it's white enchantment. I want to say it's 3 and double white? Or 4 and a white? I can't remember. And whenever a creature comes into play under your control, all creatures you control get a +1/+1 counter. Shazam. So at that point you're just like, yeah, I'll play an Emancipation Angel, bounce itself to my hand, all my dudes get +1/+1 counters. Hi, how you doing? Yeah. It's mean. It's mean. Also out of the prize pool I picked up a Desolate Lighthouse, which I think I've got a home for, and Moonsilver Spear. It was the pre-release card. The pre-release had really awesome alternate art. So, but you know what? They're going to be relatively easy to come by because everyone who had a pre-release got one, and so there is a supply out there. And don't get me wrong, that's a nasty card. Actually, I remember in one of my games, my opponent, I think he was the one who kicked the Moonsilver Spear into the prize pool. He had a Moonsilver Spear on something, I can't remember what, and he figured he was going to out-muscle me. He was just going to plow right through my defenses and just beat the crap out of me. And then I stabilized my flyers, and I had the Cathar's Crusade on the board, and my dude started getting like +1/+1 counters in quantity. And suddenly he stopped and looked at the situation. He's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to out-muscle him in the air." And it wasn't looking good for him. And then he ended up with two of the blue guy that dole soul bonds to have the creature. I believe it's tapped to mill the opponent for 2. And so that for a couple of turns he was milling me for 8 cards, and then I removed one of the soul bonders, and then he was milling me for 4, and he ended up milling me out. And that was really unexpected. I mean, because if he hadn't done that, I probably would have had him in like 2 turns, you know? But just didn't happen. Just didn't happen. Also my sideboard, I had a Rite of Ruin. That's a nasty card. I've been on the receiving end of that. I kicked into the prize pool, didn't get it back. Basically, you choose, effectively you choose 3, 2, and 1 artifact creatures and lands, and both players sacrifice those types of permanents in that quantity. For instance, like the week before, I lost I had my creatures swept and like half my lands annihilated by one of those. That was bad. Also, what you're not seeing, or you're not going to see when I show you the rest of my sideboard, I had a Gallows at Willow Hill. It's a 3-to-play, 3 tap, and tap 3 untapped humans you control to destroy target creature, and its controller gets a 1/1 white spirit with flying. I didn't think I had enough humans in the deck to make it worth running. I had like 5 humans in the deck. Yeah, 5 humans in the deck, plus the angel that makes a human token. And that's not bad, don't get me wrong at all. That is not bad. But this artifact requires 3 humans to be of any use. I mean, that requires a really human-centric deck. And this wasn't that. This was not a human-centric deck. Sideboard, Mental Agony, which is not a bad card at all. At least not in this environment. It's no Hymn to Torak, but then nothing is Hymn to Torak, really. Curse Break, I figured it'd be a nice sideboard card. Never really came up. Leap of Faith didn't make the cut. Bidvast Protector didn't make the cut. Tormentor's Trident didn't make the cut. There's a lot of stuff here that didn't make the cut, like the Scroll of Bristleband, Whoop-Dee-Dee, Vanguard's Shield, Wildwood Geist to Snare the Skies. Those were more hate drafts than anything else, because I favor flyers a lot. Nettle Swine. Nettle Swine's actually a pretty solid green card. That was more or less a hate draft. Wolfear Avenger. You hate draft those when you see them. Really? They're annoying as all hell. Spectral Driven Prison. That's a hate draft. Scrapskin Drake. You know, I think I picked that like early in pack 1 when I wasn't sure what colors I was going into yet. And Haven Gold Scab. That's one of those cards you just get stuck with. It's like, really? Really? Ooh. Ooh. You know? Then over here, we got second draft deck. This deck, I think I came in like 3rd or 4th, which really surprised me. I lost in round 1, got the bye round 2, and then round 3 I took my opponent down. And I figured I wasn't going to do well because, you know, I got the bye round 2. But somehow or another, I pulled off coming in like the top 4. I want to say I was 3rd place. But this is one of those decks that I thought was going to do better, and it just plain didn't. I don't know. Maybe I was just too creature light. I'm not sure.
an angelic armament and a bladed bracer, all well and good. For card draw and mana fixing, I've got a Borderland Ranger, an Abundant Growth, a Scroll of Avacyn, and a Mad Prophet. Mad Prophet's nice. Creature beefing, I got a Joint Assault, a Blessings of Nature, and a Snare the Skies. Terrifying Presence, it's a nice fog effect. Wolfear Avenger and a Wildwood Geist. Those are nice, solid cards, especially the Avenger. Flash and Regeneration, that's pretty nice. Granted, it's really green intensive, but oh well, whatever, right? 3 Heirs of Stromkirk. A 2/2 Intimidate that gets a +1/+1 counter whenever it deals combat damage to the opponent. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. 2 Pillars of Flame and a Thunderbolt. I mean, really? 2 Hanvir Lancers. It's a 2/2 that soul bombs for first strike. And a Crew and Striker. That's pretty nice. And then I had a Keeper of a Vexing Devil. I've got a home for him already picked out. Did I have much else in the sideboard? Also had a Hound of Gristlebrand main deck. The 2/2 Double Striker with Undying. Yeah, that's nice. Also in sideboard I had the Lighthouse land, the Stairwell Black Enchantment that people don't want to play in draft because it's got too much potential to bite you in the butt, and a really big Black Demon that had like Death Touch and did Funk. I think I opened that in pack 3 and just immediately hate drafted it. I'm like, no, I'm not passing that. I do not want to deal with that thing. But oh well, right? Prize pool, I plucked a Herald of War and a Descendant's Path. All well and good. Some people are like, yeah, what kind of deck do you put Descendant's Path in, really? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, any tribal deck? Slivers? Hi. Yeah. The rest of the sideboard for the deck. I had, Guise of Fire. It's, enchanted creature gets a +1/-1, must attack each turn if able. It's mostly in there to try and deal with, like, low toughness utility creatures, but never had the need to board it in. Raging Poltergeist, it's a filler card if you use it. It's a 6/1 for 5 mana. It's not even, in my opinion, not even as good as Lightning Elemental, really. Somberwald Vigilante, he's more of a filler card. I thought about using him, I didn't. Demolish, I think, is only really good if your opponent has some really good artifacts, or if you can get multiple Demolishes and just start ruining people's land base, Amass the Components is actually a pretty solid deck manipulation card, but I wasn't running blue. And Fleeting Distraction is more of a filler card. Spectral Prison, the Tandem Lookout, the Elgod Shield. I mean, I actually ended up with some halfway decent blue, really, but not enough to make it worth running. Fraben Valiant, that's when there's just nothing in the pack worth picking in my own color. So it's like, alright, what can I steal from somebody else, I'll steal a good filler card from somebody. Black actually had some halfway decent black card, Ghoul Flesh, Butchered Ghoul's decent filler, a Hunted Ghoul is almost decent filler, Mental Agony, Driver of the Dead, all well and good. Well, batter on this thing is running low, but as far as the Vexing Devil is concerned, I do have a home for him. Hopefully I'll get to show you this deck. That's going to be his home. It's a pretty straightforward mono red cheap burn deck. Those are lands. It's that. Land. That. Land. Bum. Ba-bum. Ba-bum. Bum. 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 Oh, jeez. Let's see if I can't get this thing pulled out for you guys. I'm working on it. Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to get this finished up real quick. Okay, this is, pretty straightforward mono red bolt deck. It's got like 16 mountains in it. Yeah, it's got it's a almost criminally low mana base. Almost criminally low. A pair of Howling Mines, which I'm probably going to end up replacing soon. Playset of Kindles. It's a colorless and a red for an instant. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player plus it's 2 plus X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of Kindles in all graveyards. The mechanic was revisited later, and Kindle was effectively reprinted with another name, along with like creatures that counted as Kindles, but well, not as the new Kindle, whatever, right? Pair of Browbeats. That's red diplomacy in action, folks. Yeah, I'm drawing 3 cards here, taking 5 damage. I don't really care which. Playset of Breaking Points. Yeah, you're taking 6, or it's a Wrath of God. Pair of Earthquakes. Yay. Playset of Bolts. I put this deck together before Lightning Bolt was reprinted. Oh yeah. Playset of Incinerates. Ice Age. Mirage. Yay. A playset of... Oh, what's this? It's Thunderbolt! Yes, folks, it's from Weatherlight. It's a reprint. Playset of Shocks. Playset of Seal of Fire. Throw those Kindles in there. A Flame Javelin, it's not bad. It's red, red, red for 4 damage to target creature or player. It's an instant. Or you could substitute 2 colors for any of the red mana, or each of the red manas, really. So you could theoretically pay like 4 in a red, or 2 in double red, blah, 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 blah. In this deck, it's just 3 red, really. A Flame Rift, I used to have more of those in here. They got pulled for other stuff, like mass removal cards. It's not a bad card either, but at least not in this type of deck. Fire Blast, you know it, you love it, you fear it. People hate it. It's one of those cards that I massively underestimated the first time I saw it, because I was used to playing, longer games. So I'm like, wait a minute, sacrifice. It's like, it's 6 mana for 4 damage. It's like, that's really a lot. That's not very mana efficient. And I look at the alternate cast, I'm like, wow, sacrifice 2 mountains. Why would I do that? I'm sabotaging my late game. And then I learned the hard way, that is on the receiving end, why Fire Blast is a good card. Because Fire Blast sits there and says, there is no late game. Your opponent dies. Period. Statement ends. I talked about the Howling Mines. Scent of Cinder. Got a playset of those in here. It's a really nice card. It's a colorless and a red sorcery. You reveal any number of red cards in your hand, and Scent of Cinder deals that amount of damage to target creature or player. So if you reveal like 4 red cards in hand, it's dealing 4 damage. For a colorless and a red, that's really, really solid. Most of the time, even late game, it's probably going to be no worse than a Volcanic Hammer, which isn't a great card by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still solid. One card that a lot of people like to run in decks like this, it's a card whose name I can't remember. It's a sorcery that does 3 to target player for like a single red. I don't like running it because it's only target player, and this targeting restriction just doesn't sit well with me. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. I could be the crazy one. I could be. I mean, this is one of those times when I disagree with the common wisdom, I guess you'd say. And to be perfectly honest, I don't really think it hurts me, because I mean, this is a reasonably solid, brutally efficient deck as is. I mean, it just does mean things. Just does mean things. And Vexing Devil is going to be the first creature in it. A single red for a 4/3 that when it hits the battlefield, any opponent may have it deal 4 damage to him or her to force me to sacrifice it. I'm like,